Nicolás Maduro captured. There's been a lot of talks. There's been obviously a lot of pushing in Venezuela. I don't know if any of us had, on our bingo card at the beginning of the year, the capture. This is sort of the weird part, is we're not used to this also because when we're used to taking out leaders, if you will, dictators, these kind of things, it's something like even Saddam Hussein, who was captured under our watch, but his final, decisions of what would happen to him were carried out by the people.
Right.
This is being taken, flown into New York City with a lot of pomp and circumstance, putting the show on, having the press conferences, doing the whole deal, saying we captured this dictator, false leader of a country. And what does that look like for the future of the United States? As we know, they do have partners. We do know they do have friends. We've seen pushback from China. We've seen pushback from other nations. So how does that all play out? And how does it play out for the safety and security of our country? I think that's a real concern we should be thinking about.
It's interesting. I'm watching kind of the live updates from reporters coming through that Maduro and his wife have both pled not guilty. The attorney for Maduro is not seeking bail at this time. I feel like they may think, it may be difficult to say he's not a flight risk.
It may be a flight risk, yeah.
Yeah. But there's interesting things as well, like the Maduro telling the judge he's been kidnapped. He was blocked from speaking freely. I think maybe courts in Venezuela may have a little bit different rules, but he was blocked from speaking freely. But he also asked the judge that he could keep his notes and that his notes be respected and that he be allowed to keep them. And it says the judge sounded a little surprised, says, yes, I believe you're entitled to that. Yeah. So I feel like there's some maybe cultural translation barriers going on, which makes it interesting as well. So I once we get a full accounting of this from the press that are in there, it will be fascinating. And even with some people being able to weigh in on what is maybe going in the mind of Nicolás Maduro in that courtroom.
We do know Mamdani said he reached out to President Trump directly to tell him how bad he was for doing this. He said he was briefed on the matter, which everyone was like, well, what does that mean? How does the mayor get briefed in New York?
He was monitoring the situation
Monitoring the situation. And look, there's a large Venezuelan population in New York City for sure. What does that mean for them? I think a lot of them are celebrating. Like I've said, look to the people. For everyone that wants to complain about this, look, I understand your concerns when it comes to regime change and all of that. That is not something that we want to necessarily relive that we all lived through in the early 2000s. But I do understand when I see people in the streets celebrating, when I see parties break out here in Nashville, Tennessee, of families saying, we never thought we'd ever be able to take our kids to Venezuela, and maybe we'll be able to do that again. Maybe we'll actually see our return to our homeland. It's pretty emotional. It should be something that feels very American, that we would do this safely. And I'm hopeful that it will play out that way. And we'll certainly be covering it. We'll certainly be watching it.
I understand people protesting in Chicago and New York with maybe no war signs or no adventurism, no colonialism or something, trying to make a point there. But I don't understand the free Maduro signs. And that's just it feels so fake. It feels so pre-planned. AstroTurfed is the term they use, where it's a fake grassroots movement. It feels so fake when all of a sudden people are popping up around the country that were ready to make slogans for Maduro. Like, really, that's where your head was?
I mean, maybe they've been prepped. I mean, look, people like Tucker Carlson have been kind of prepping a pushback to any sort of response in Venezuela, have been, pushing them as a, conservative homeland where we can, go. And we all know the truth, hopefully, of what that looks like. And again, when you're talking about shipping tons of drugs into our country, murdering hundreds of thousands of our citizens here, that I don't really care about your feelings on, the social side of politics. This is a big moment. We need to not, ignore it. And like you said, when you see it on the streets, it does feel performative. It feels staged because it's right. It's giving the same people who protest everything another thing to go after. And like I said, it feels like all of your friends on the left woke up and were experts in Venezuela. And that's at least one thing that I am proud to say here on this show we don't pretend to do, which is if it's a topic that we are not well informed about, we're going to get ourselves well informed about it. We're going to learn everything we can. We're going to have people like Mike Pompeo who can come on here and give you their points of view. People who have met with Maduro before giving their points of view, because I think that is extremely important. And to just jump, and I would say this even for those on the right who, when they have a Democrat that says something that they aren't sure if they agree with or disagree, to just disagree with it because they're not on your political side is worthless. Take an honest look at what's going on. And look, I don't have all the information and it wasn't well, established on my thoughts on Venezuela, other than I have a really strong push against drug trafficking and human trafficking. I feel very compelled to fight against that at any way we can here in this country, because I've seen what it can do, the destruction it can cause to members of people of our families, of everyone's family, really, who has had to deal with the ramifications of what that looks like, especially over the last 5-6 years. And to see any kind of real action take place. We had Jacqueline Stapp on a few months ago. She was part of the campaign to really take down fentanyl here in the country, make America part of the kind of the healthy again, but also to fentanyl free. And if this is what that is, I'm all for it.
Well, and when you also look at how much damage, not just on the lives of the United States, that the drug trafficking and the way that these dictators have enriched themselves through utilizing the drug trade, but how they've oppressed their people with failed socialist regimes that have caused the people of their country poverty and destruction and death. And instead, they've enriched themselves. And that's happened all throughout our own hemisphere. And a lot of people are talking about the Monroe Doctrine again, because that's the historic protecting your own backyard. That was kind of forgotten and not paid attention to for a long time. This is very much a historic kind of American foreign policy that we're looking at again. And I think that's why it feels so foreign to many, because our modern foreign policy has been 100% focused on the Middle East. It has been focused on Europe and Russia and China, and not realizing what's going on in our own backyard, and that there are things that are affecting the people here in the United States on a daily basis that is going on very close to home that has just been ignored for a very long time.